I was midway through signing a vendor contract when my phone buzzed with a message from my mother that nearly made me drop my pen. Morgan, don't come to Thanksgiving this year. Tyler thinks you create tension. It's better if you sit this one out. For a moment, I thought it had to be a joke. My sister's new husband had known me for maybe a month, and somehow he had already decided I was the issue. If only he actually knew me. But instead of responding, I set my phone face down, looked at my assistant, and said calmly, "Let's move this meeting to tomorrow." Because when someone tries to push me aside, I don't argue or make a scene. I adjust. I'm Morgan Hayes, 31, a director at Falcon Ridge Real Estate Group, the youngest woman to oversee a division valued at more than $500 million. But no one in my family knows what I truly do. They think I work basic property jobs, like selling small homes on weekends. I stopped explaining my career a long time ago. My mom's message wasn't surprising. It was simply the clearest version yet. My sister Brittany had always been the favorite, the one whose decisions were praised. I was the quiet one who worked constantly, but was still described as simply trying my best. Tyler, her new husband, was different. The type who wanted attention, who boasted about a big promotion that was really just moving from customer support to team lead. The type who analyzed everyone like he needed to boost himself. And now he claimed I brought tension to a holiday dinner. I wasn't upset. I wasn't hurt. I was finished. My life was too full to waste effort explaining myself to people who didn't care to understand. I stayed late at the office that night, completed project numbers, signed approvals, and ran simulations for our new executive tower development. I loved the work. It was the only place where everything felt steady. Around midnight, I walked through the empty lobby, heels echoing on marble floors, and felt nothing but clarity. If Tyler didn't want me at Thanksgiving, that was fine. He simply never expected that I had a world outside my family, one far bigger than his. The next morning moved quickly, phones ringing, emails stacking up, architects asking for confirmations. My assistant Jenna brought in a new set of files. "Morgan, the contractor for the Skyline project is running late." She stopped suddenly, eyes wide. I turned and paused for half a second before almost laughing. Tyler stood in the doorway, red-faced, sweating, and visibly shocked. He walked in like someone had pushed him, glancing between me and the large company logo behind my desk. "Do? What is this?" he stammered. I leaned back in my chair, steady while he looked overwhelmed. He must have expected to intimidate me. Instead, he discovered where I actually worked and who I really was. "Good morning, Tyler," I said. You work here?" he yelled, voice cracking. "You're what? You're the boss?" I raised an eyebrow. "I manage 3 divisions, so yes, that makes me the boss. Why are you here?" He looked ready to fall over. "I came to speak with someone about an investment meeting. Brittany said her sister might help us, but I thought you worked in rentals." There it was, the judgment returning to him. I stayed steady. He was the one shaking. "You told my mom I shouldn't come to Thanksgiving," I said evenly. "Because I ruined the vibe, right?" His face drained. "Morgan, I didn't know." "Didn't know what?" I asked. "That I had a career? That I had a life? That I wasn't someone you could dismiss?" He swallowed hard, staring at the glass wall showing dozens of employees working under my leadership. I could practically see his confidence breaking down. He pointed at me with a shaky finger. "Why didn't you tell anyone you were this?" I gave him a small smile. "No one asked." He blinked, speechless, unable to form a full sentence. Jenna walked in behind him and whispered, "Should I call security?" I motioned for her not to. Tyler wasn't dangerous. He had simply underestimated the wrong person. "I didn't come here for this," he muttered. "I came because we need a loan, an investor. Brittany said you might convince someone to help." I stopped him with a raised hand. "Tyler, let me be clear. I don't mix family and business, and I don't assist people who dismiss me." He stared like I had just rewritten the rules. "You can't do this," he shouted. "Do you know who I am?" The familiar line. I stood slowly, not angry, just firm. "Yes," I said. "You're the man who tried to keep me out of Thanksgiving." His jaw tensed, but I continued. "And I'm guessing you didn't expect that the person you tried to exclude is the one whose office you're now asking for help in." He went silent. Then he suddenly yelled, not words, just frustration. The kind someone lets out when their own assumptions collapse. People on the floor turned to look. His face reddened as he pointed at me and said, You embarrass me. I didn't react. No, I said calmly. You embarrassed yourself. He stormed out, slamming the door hard enough to rattle the glass. Jenna stepped in after a moment, eyes wide. Well, she said, that was dramatic. I exhaled. You have no idea, and this is only the beginning. Because he assumed the embarrassment ended there. He didn't realize what clarity would bring next. Not retaliation out of anger, but truth. And truth always lands harder. After he left, the atmosphere shifted. People pretended to stay focused, but everyone had witnessed it. You can't really hide a grown man yelling in the middle of a corporate floor. I didn't follow him. There was no reason to. I walked to the glass wall overlooking downtown and let my heart beat steady. This wasn't about pride. It was about understanding. Tyler finally saw the side of me he assumed didn't exist: competence, independence, stability, and it bothered him. 20 minutes later, my phone rang. Brittany. I considered ignoring it, but answered. Her voice was sharp. Morgan, what did you do to Tyler? He came home furious. I stayed calm. I didn't do anything. He arrived at my workplace without an appointment, raised his voice in front of my staff, and asked for money. She went silent, not expecting that response. Then she snapped. You could have been nicer. I almost laughed. He told Mom I shouldn't come to Thanksgiving. That's because he thinks you judge people. You have this intimidating presence. I closed my eyes. The irony was obvious. Britt, I said softly, maybe he feels intimidated because he underestimates everyone else. She didn't answer. She hung up instead. I stood quietly, realizing something important. My family didn't push me away because I caused problems. They pushed me away because I grew past the version of me they preferred. If that was the case, they could keep that smaller version. Life had more planned. That evening, while I finished reviewing the Skyline project's final renderings, Jenna walked in carrying a thick envelope. This arrived through private courier, she said. It's from legal. I opened it. Inside the envelope was a file labeled Tyler Morris Background Report. Requested, not by you. My eyebrows lifted. Who requested this? I asked. Jenna hesitated before answering. Your mother. I paused. My mother, the same person who told me not to come to Thanksgiving. My chest tightened, not from emotion, but from a clear sense that something was off. I skimmed the report and froze. Tyler had multiple debts, personal loans, old credit card issues, and a failed tech startup he never mentioned. Worse, he had recently applied for a private investment loan using Brittany's name. I sat down slowly. So that explained his visit to my office. He didn't want me at Thanksgiving because he didn't want me close enough to learn what he was doing with my sister's finances. And the worst part wasn't even that. At the bottom was a handwritten note from my mother. I didn't know who else to ask. If he hurts Brittany financially, please protect her. It struck me immediately. My mother hadn't pushed me away out of preference. She was scared. Not of me, but of what Tyler might do if I confronted him. A mix of disappointment and clarity went through me. They still didn't trust me enough to speak directly, but trusted me enough to investigate him. Trusted me enough to hope I'd step in. I closed the file. Fine. If they didn't want me at Thanksgiving, I'd handle things exactly as needed. I grabbed my coat, left the office, and went straight to Brittany and Tyler's house. Not to argue, but to end this quietly. Tyler thought the moment in my office was the worst he'd face. He didn't realize what waited when he opened the door. The sun was low when I parked outside their house. Warm lights glowed through the windows, giving the appearance of a peaceful life. From the outside, it looked perfect, exactly the type of home my mother always imagined for Brittany. Except it wasn't real. I walked up the driveway carrying the file. Before I knocked, the door swung open. Tyler stood there, breathing hard, eyes widening as soon as he saw me. You can't be here, he snapped, blocking the entryway. I gave a calm smile. Move. He didn't, so I lifted the envelope slightly. Unless you want Brittany to open this. His face drained instantly. What is that? He asked. Your past, I said, or more accurately, your present. His panic wasn't about me. It was about the contents. I stepped inside without waiting. Brittany was in the kitchen stirring something on the stove. She stopped when she saw me. Morgan, what are you? Tyler rushed in front of her. Don't listen to her. She's trying to start problems. But Brittany wasn't naive. She glanced at his expression and whispered, What did you do? I placed the folder on the dining table. Mom sent this, I said. Brittany turned sharply. Mom? Yes, she's the one who looked into him, I said. Tyler's voice cracked. She hates me. No, I replied. She didn't trust what you were hiding. Brittany reached for the file, her hands shaking. Tyler lunged forward. Don't open that. I stepped between them. Touch her again, and I will take this file to her employer, her bank, and every investor you've contacted. Tyler froze. Brittany opened the folder. The quiet that followed was heavy. Page after page, loans, defaults, failed ventures, outstanding debts, and his loan application using her name. Tyler, tell me this isn't real, she whispered. He lifted a hand, desperate. Brittany, listen, I just needed help for us. No, she said, for your mess. He turned to me, eyes angry. You planned this. You want to ruin my life. I stayed steady. You put your future at risk when you dragged my family into your debt. He clenched his fists like he wanted to react, but Brittany stepped in front of me. Get out of my house, she said. He stared. What? Leave. For the first time, he looked truly scared. Where will I go? That's not my concern, she said. He tried once more. Your mom will blame you for this. No, Brittany said quietly. She'll finally understand why Morgan didn't come to Thanksgiving. He left, slamming the door. Brittany turned to me, tears building. Why didn't you tell us who you are, what you really do? I exhaled. Because no one asked. She broke down, leaning on me, not as the sister who always had the easy path, but as someone finally seeing the full picture. Stay for dinner? She whispered. I nodded. I'm here. But I knew tomorrow would be the real turning point. Not loud, not aggressive, just defining. Thanksgiving morning came with the usual holiday chill, but this time it felt different. Clear, steady, decisive. I dressed in a simple navy suit, tied my hair back, and took the folder with me, not to expose Tyler, but to share the truth with my family directly. When I arrived at my mother's house, the smell of food filled the air. Laughter drifted from inside. As I stepped onto the porch, the door opened before I knocked. My mother stood there, eyes wide. Morgan, she whispered. I heard you weren't expecting me, I said gently. Her voice shook. I didn't know what to do. Tyler told me you two didn't get along, and Brittany seemed happy, and you believed him, I finished. She closed her eyes, guilt forming. I'm sorry. I didn't want today to become an argument. Conflict had always been her fear. Not the truth, not the risk, just conflict itself. But today wasn't about fighting. I know, I said, and that's why I'm here. She stepped aside, letting me in. The noise in the house faded the moment people saw me. My aunt whispered, I thought she wasn't coming. Brittany walked out from the kitchen, looking more grounded. She hugged me without hesitation, surprising everyone. She told me everything, Brittany said. Mom's eyes widened. Everything? I handed Mom the folder. You hired someone to check into Tyler, I said. You were worried. Here's the rest of what you wanted to know, but you don't have to worry anymore. She opened it slowly, reading the first page with shaking hands. What was he planning to do with Brittany's name? She whispered. Sign her into debt to cover his past, Brittany answered. Gasps filled the room. Mom pressed a hand to her chest. Morgan, I should have trusted you. I shook my head. You should trust yourself. You sensed something was wrong. You just didn't want to choose incorrectly. She stepped closer, emotions rising, and I pushed you away instead. This was the moment I'd been waiting for. Not payback, but honesty. I'm not angry, I said. Just don't shut me out to protect someone else again, especially someone who doesn't protect you. She pulled me into a tight hug. You're staying for dinner, she said firmly. No excuses. I plan to, I replied. From the living room, Brittany called out, Mom's about to burn the turkey again. The room filled with genuine laughter. For the first time in a long time, I didn't feel like the outsider. I felt like the daughter, the sister, the one who showed up when it counted. As we gathered around the table, I realized something simple. The real revenge wasn't the confrontation or exposing Tyler. It wasn't proving anything. The real revenge was being genuinely happy, right where I was once told I didn't belong.